When CPS showed up demanding to inspect my home for signs of neglect, my kids were covered head to toe in flour because we'd been making cookies together. My daughter had just cracked an egg directly onto the counter instead of into the bowl. My son was attempting to eat raw cookie dough when I wasn't looking. The kitchen looked like a flour bomb had detonated. We were laughing so hard my stomach hurt. Then the doorbell rang. I wiped my hands on my apron and opened the front door to find two women in business attire holding clipboards. Mr. Donovan, we're with Child Protective Services. We received a report of severe neglect and unsanitary living conditions. We need to conduct an immediate home inspection. Behind me, my daughter called out, "Daddy, the timer went off!" I stood there covered in flour, butter on my sleeve, chocolate chips stuck to my shirt. The investigator looked me up and down with an expression I couldn't read. "May we come in?" It wasn't really a question. My ex-wife had been filing complaints since I won custody 8 months ago. The first report claimed I wasn't feeding the kids properly. An investigator found a fully stocked refrigerator and meal prep containers labeled for the week. Case closed. The second report alleged I was leaving them home alone overnight. My neighbor provided a signed statement that she'd never seen my car leave after dark, and my kids confirmed I read to them every single night. Case closed. The third claimed educational neglect. The school sent records showing perfect attendance and improving grades since they'd started living with me full-time. Case closed. Each time my ex would wait a few weeks, then try again with a new angle. She told me during our divorce that if she couldn't have them, she'd make sure I couldn't either. I never believed someone could hate that much. The investigators stepped into my kitchen and stopped. Flour covered every surface. Dirty mixing bowls filled the sink. My kids stood at the counter like two little ghosts, white powder in their hair, on their faces, coating their clothes. My son had chocolate smeared across his cheek. My daughter was holding a spatula like a weapon. "We're making snickerdoodles," she announced proudly. "Daddy let us do the mixing ourselves." The lead investigator, a woman named Mrs. Franklin, wrote something on her clipboard. Her expression gave nothing away. "I see. And how often do you cook with your children, Mr. Donovan?" I explained that we baked together every Sunday, that it was our tradition, that my daughter wanted to be a pastry chef someday, and my son just liked eating the results. Mrs. Franklin nodded slowly, still writing. "We'll need to inspect the bedrooms and speak with the children separately." The next hour felt like a year. They photographed everything: the stocked pantry, the clean bedrooms with actual sheets on the beds, the bathroom with kids' toothbrushes and a holder shaped like a dinosaur, the chore chart on the refrigerator with gold stars next to each completed task. They asked my kids questions in the living room while I waited in the kitchen, heart pounding, hands shaking. I could hear my daughter's voice through the wall. "Daddy makes the best pancakes. He puts chocolate chips in them, but only on weekends because he says too much sugar makes our brains fuzzy." My son chimed in. "He does all the voices when he reads Harry Potter. The Hagrid voice is really funny." I pressed my palm against the counter and tried to breathe. Everything I'd built over the past 8 months, every routine, every bedtime story, every packed lunch, it all came down to what two strangers decided in my living room. Mrs. Franklin found me still standing in the kitchen when they finished. She set her clipboard down on the flour-dusted counter and looked at me directly for the first time since arriving. "Mr. Donovan, I want to be honest with you. The report we received described conditions that are frankly horrific. Cockroaches, rotting food, children sleeping on bare mattresses, bruises." She paused. "What I found is a home that's clearly loved in, children who are clearly thriving, and a father who spends his Sunday afternoons teaching his kids to bake." She pulled out a form and signed it. "This case is unfounded, but I'm also flagging the reporter for a pattern of false claims. This is the 4th investigation in 8 months from the same source. That's not concern. That's harassment. Our office will be forwarding this to the family court." The judge added a note to our custody agreement 3 weeks later. Any future contact from my ex had to go through attorneys. She was ordered to attend counseling and pay a fine for filing repeated false reports. She tried to fight it, claimed she was just a worried mother, but the pattern was too clear. 4 investigations, 4 unfounded cases. 4 times she'd tried to weaponize the system against her own children's happiness. My kids don't know any of this happened. They just know that Sundays mean flour fights and warm cookies and a dad who shows up. That's enough for them, and honestly, it's enough for me too.